of information there. One of the big things is they're going to close the beach to residents because they want to try to preserve crime scenes. They also want to dig through all the rubble, make sure that there's no crime scenes that have taken place that get disrupted. They also want to make sure that there's no people who are still there that they do not know about. So that's one of the biggest things that he had to say this afternoon.
And again, that death toll in Lee County stands at 54 right now.
Yeah, it's a hard number. You hate to hear that. That is tough for all those families and their loved ones. It's awful. But when it comes to the looting, he says there's been 3 cases of looting that have ended in arrest, and he says there's going to be zero tolerance, and they're quadrupling the law enforcement presence from Pine Island to all the barrier islands because they want to make sure that does not happen.
They're still working on rescues. They have 800 rescues up to this point, 8 urban search and rescue teams out there going through rubble. Over 100 National Guard members are going to Pine Island to provide security there. And they said they've finally gone through those 4,000 calls they had backed up from the storm. So they're now back to those as normally as can be operations, those normal everyday calls there. But of course, we're still seeing more calls than usual in the aftermath.
Yeah, most of those welfare checks, I haven't heard from someone. Can you go to this address? Can you find this person? See if they are there. Also, he was talking about that the National Guard has been called out. And then on Pine Island in particular, where they're trying to get a bridge. They started at 7 a.m. this morning to build a gravel bridge so that then they can access the island, help get people off, and those kinds of things. That's probably going to take several days. I think they said they hope to have it up and going by Friday, but they've already started with that right now.
And I'll say there's no word on whether that means if you have a home there that you can go there. He didn't mention whether that will be possible. We don't know what the rules will be once that gravel bridge. It does not mean everyone can access it, but it's a step in that right direction there. He's also talking about encouraging people to help others during this time, but doing that in a way where you're not clogging up the roadways. We've said it a lot. I'll say it again. If you don't have to be on the roads, don't be, because emergency responders need to be out there right now. And if you can just walk out your door, though, and help some neighbors, that's the best way to do it.
He was calling on people to have as positive as an attitude as possible at this time. If you're feeling some negative energy, best way to get rid of that is to go out and donate water or help your neighbor, those kinds of things. He says he wish he could just press a button, make everything back, but that's not going to happen. It's going to be a process, and that we're going to get through this process, and we just keep moving forward step by step.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that were the main points from that press conference, and so we want to bring in now our consumer reporter, Andriana Shepard, to give us some updates on how you can make the best of what you have in your wallets right now and deal with some of these post-storm financial issues.
Yes, so not too long ago, I was able to do a Zoom interview with Jimmy Petronas in a Publix parking lot, so excuse the kind of background there for the story. But
we got to do what we got to do right now, Andriana.
We got to do. We talked from everything from the insurance villages that I've been speaking about before. Those are the places where you can get face-to-face contact with claim experts from your insurance companies down at JetBlue Parkway and the Port Charlotte Town Center. We talked about, worries that some of you have that your homeowner's insurance may drop you because we have been in such a terrible crisis, and he reaffirmed some stuff there for us. And he also kind of talked about how this storm reminds him a little bit of Hurricane Michael.
Okay, let's listen in if we can. We're going to make this full screen for everybody. Buffering right now, but hopefully...
I know where to start when it comes to Hurricane Ian. This area has had so much devastation. In terms of insurance, what's some info you can get out to?
Sure. So the biggest concern that I've got for our policyholders and our citizens is the predators that come out immediately after the storm. And I can't stress enough, do not sign anything. You will have people that will approach you to put a tarp on your roof. Just sign here. And then they're going to just give you a number out of the thin air. They may charge you $5,000 $1,000 to put a tarp on your roof because they said, we'll get your insurance company to pay for it. The problem you've got is that is cutting into your proceeds. You've got a set amount of money that your carrier is going to be willing to pay out your claim, and I wanted you to get the maximum utilization of that. But these predatory contractors will come through, they're unscrupulous, and they will prey on you, and they will take every cent you're willing to give them.
Before this storm, we've had a property insurance crisis here in Florida. Is there anything you can tell the people out there who are nervous that maybe they might get dropped in the middle of trying to fix their homes?
No, I'm going to brag on Commissioner David Altmaier. He's the state's insurance commissioner. He has already ensured that carriers can't drop you now, and they can't drop you for an additional 60 days. 60 days. So people will be fine, and insurance will stay in force.
No, you sent out a press release not too long ago about our anti-fraud strike team that's out here.
Correct. So this is, again, to try to supplement the concerns that I've got. We have been working hand in hand with the Department of Business Professional Regulation, your local law enforcement agencies, and we will then have our boots on the ground, our strike teams, again, to try to work as a deterrent to these unscrupulous contractors. And again, in a lot of these cases, these predators are operating legally, but they're taking advantage of you. You're vulnerable. You're signing up for services. You're signing up without knowing what your full rights are. If your first phone call is to my office at 1-877-MY-FLCFO, your agent or your carrier, I can assure you 99% of the time you're going to be in a safe place as long as you did not get something presented to you that you have signed away. I just get so fearful that you're going to be in a position to get services at your home, but they will take advantage of you because you're vulnerable.
Do you know anything about the insurance villages we have going on here?
Yeah, so what you've got is in Lee County and Charlotte County, these are coming online. They're kind of like advanced payment centers right now as the carriers are trying to get their bearings set also. But we're trying to be integrated as a one-stop shop with FEMA, the insurance companies, all those that can administer some type of relief and support. But these advanced payment centers, what they're going to do is say if your insurance is with whoever your carrier is, you'll be able to go get the claims process started, and typically they'll just cut you, a $10,000 to $15,000 check right there on the spot to go get your lifestyle settled, find a roof over your head, get something to eat, help you start to get some normalcy back in your life. And then that allows time for the adjusters to go to your house, evaluate the damage, and start to document your claim so we can close it out and give you your money so you can put your life back together.
If there's anything you want someone to take away from this interview, what is it? What's the one thing you want somebody to keep in the back of their head?
So the biggest thing is if it sounds too good to be true, it is. And you should be very careful on what you sign. If you're not signing something from your insurance agent or your carrier, I would not sign it.
What has it been like for you down here and seeing everything?
So Hurricane Michael hit my hometown of Panama City. So it's still very raw to me. When I walk out to Fort Myers Beach and I look at the devastation, it traumatizes me. I know what people are going through. Their whole life is just disappeared before them. The biggest investment they ever make in their entire life, their home is gone. But I just want them to know that, we're not leaving. We're going to be here, and we're going to help them recover from this, just like the state of Florida does every single time. We rally around those parts of our state. It's not a Southwest Florida problem. It's a Florida problem.
So that was my Zoom interview with Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Patronis. Just to recap some of the things that we talked about in that interview, the insurance villages, again, that's where you can have face-to-face contact with claims experts from all the national insurance companies, as well as many as 20 of our local Florida companies. They can help you file a claim there. They can help you start a claim, or you can just ask questions about it. You know, if you have the access to be able to start your claims at home, of course, all the insurance companies would like you to be able to do that. But the two places that the insurance villages are being held is JetBlue Park, that's at 11500 Fenway South Drive in Fort Myers. Again, 11500 Fenway South Drive in Fort Myers. The second is in Port Charlotte at the Port Charlotte Town Center. That's 1441 Tamiami Trail. One more time, 1441 Tamiami Trail. A couple things that he also mentioned, you know, those door-to-door, potentially unscrupulous contractors. You want to make sure that they are licensed. They are required to have a license on at least their business card. No harm, no foul in taking that business card, but do not sign anything. They might try to get you to sign a contract or something known as an assignment of benefits or an AOB. That's essentially the closest thing I can describe that as is a power of attorney in your for your policy. So you are therefore giving them your policy, and they are acting in your, I guess, acting as if they are you in that case, but that hasn't worked out very well in a lot of spaces. That's kind of how we've gotten a little bit into our Florida property insurance crisis, according to many of our experts here. But if you do pick a contractor, make sure that they work well with your insurance companies. Sometimes insurance companies want you to wait and file your claim first. Sometimes they have connections with certain contractors that they know and they trust. Make sure that the contractor that you pick has workman's comp and insurance themselves, so that once they start working on your home, if anything were to happen to any of their employees on your home, on your property, that you are not liable for that, because you could be. Another thing about those insurance villages, like Jimmy Petronis had talked about, was a lot of the times they're just writing checks out to people to help you get started. So if you need to be able to get on down to one of those insurance villages, they do start, I believe, tomorrow from 8 to 6 p.m., 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and there's no date on when they are leaving. They will be there for a while. I know at least Nationwide and AAA are there right now.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. Anything else you have for us?
Not right now. I
All right.
got a bunch.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrea, and we appreciate it. We also have reporters, news reporters out in the field right now. I think we're going to first go to Rodaris Richardson. She's in a 55-plus mobile home community in North Fort Myers. There are homes there destroyed. Let's let her tell their stories.
Bridge Village, a 55-plus community, and as you can see behind me, roofs of many homes are torn apart, and as you can see over on this side, the trees are also down everywhere, and if you turn your camera, even on the power lines, you can see what looks like parts of a home that flew away. Now, I spoke to a resident who is currently going to LaBelle to find safe shelter. She says, honestly, applying for FEMA was not the issue, but just waiting around for insurance to help her with poor phone service is the struggle right now.
Approximately 12 inches water in the house, and when it receded, we had an inch of mud to walk through and go through. All our floors are completely gone. All our furniture, I'd say 90% gone. This is just devastating. I've never been through anything like this.
I'm in Old Bridge Village, a 55-plus community, and as you can see behind me,
Okay, so yeah, you got a kind of taste of what that was all about. We appreciate Rodaris for reporting there. And then we have another one from Zach Oliveri that we're going to get to. I believe this has to do with the Imperial River. So let's listen in and see what he has to say.
He's down in Bonita Springs right now.
As people in Bonita Springs try to pick up the pieces after Hurricane Ian, their attention is now towards the Imperial River. Sheet flow, a natural phenomenon after storms, has the river level rising. You can even see some of the minnows swimming up against the dock here. We actually saw some of the water over the dock earlier this morning with these minnows swimming over it. I spoke with one woman who lives on the river, who loves it because it reminds her of old Florida, peaceful, calm, with nature. But she just hopes this water level doesn't get any higher.
What was your prayer, leading up to the storm?
That everybody be safe and that the river doesn't come up and we're able to get back to a normal life as soon as possible.
Well, I need a shower real bad. Other than that, I'm fine. Got moving right across here yesterday with water. That's why I'm out on my bike. I bring water back to the house because we have well water, so we have no water, no electric. The river didn't do anything until after the rain stopped. And probably Thursday it started coming out.
How close did it get?
Well, it covered most of the grass and stuff, but it didn't get to the house.
What was the river like during Irma? You were saying it got up pretty high.
Well, I did evacuate that time, and when I came back after a week, across the street, I had to wade in chest-high water to get to my front door. My house is 3 feet off the ground, so my house was dry, but the police would not allow me to stay here.
The generator out there and all the cars and stuff, but it came up a lot more than we not having the generator in the water, which is a good thing.
I've been speaking with people here in Bonita Springs the last couple of days, and everyone just hopes that this river doesn't get higher because so many people lost so much during Hurricane Ian. They had their homes flooded. Possessions are now over by the curb, and this is the last thing anyone needs is to deal with any more flooding. In Bonita Springs, Zach Oliveri, Wink News.
Thank you so much, Zach. And we want to right away bring in Wink News Weather Authority meteorologist Nash Rhodes to talk about the Imperial River a little bit. Come on over, Nash. Take whichever mic you like best.
And you heard what Zach was saying, that at one point it was kind of over that dock. Minnows were swimming over the dock. When he was there, it had gone down just a little bit. That's something that you definitely like to see. Nash, what can you tell us? What's going on with the river at this point?
Yeah, we're still getting high tides, low tides, and things that also affect other rivers and coastal areas. So we will be seeing those fluctuations in water heights as well. What we really focus on is the height above the normal stage. And with the Imperial River, since it was located a little bit farther south than where the majority of our rainfall was seen, don't get me wrong, we saw a lot of rainfall in Lee County and areas farther south towards Collier County, but our highest rainfall totals were displaced north of where that storm made landfall. And because of that, because of a process called sheet flow, which he touched on briefly, all of those, that ponding water, all of that fresh water that fell is all going to rush to all of our rivers and eventually flow downstream. So here's a look at the Imperial River. You can notice that we've actually seen it rise, even though we are days removed from when Ian made landfall and pushed up the coastline. Moderate flooding stage currently. That's up actually from Friday, where they were just passed out of that minor flooding stage category into the moderate stage. But thankfully, as you're seeing here in this graph, the Imperial River appears to be fairly level relative to where it was Sunday. So we are seeing at least improvements in the fact that those numbers are beginning to remain stagnant. I would not forecast them to increase very much over the next few days, and neither does our long-range forecast as well, because we're not seeing any rain chances in the immediate forecast for Bonita Springs. We're really going to have to wait until Wednesday, and even at that, those rain chances will be very sparse. Most of our community will remain dry.
So, looking at this, what do you think is going to happen over the next day, 2 days, 3 days? Is this near the peak, do you think, or are we just going to have to wait and see?
Well, I think with this particular river, it's going to be just like what we're seeing with the Myakka River, Peace River, and Horse Creek, with areas to the north, where we are seeing a little bit of improvement. It's just not coming as fast as people would like.
And with the tides, it's going to fluctuate. So it might start to go up. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go up a lot.
Absolutely. It's going to be fairly close to what you're seeing here.
Okay.
That 12.32 feet is the pretty much exact measurement that we had from yesterday, which is another thing that we look for in these graphs. Notice that slow rise was something we were keeping a close eye on through the first and second, but finally we're starting to see things level off, and hopefully today is technically the crest, and we start to see things improve, or at least slowly improve moving forward. I do want to touch on the rivers to the north, where we do have flood warnings in effect as well. These are the Myakka, Peace, and Horse Creek rivers that we're keeping a close eye on on also. As of Saturday, the Myakka River was at 12.62 feet, now down to 11.9 feet. Still in that major flooding stage, but at least we're now seeing that slow improvement. I mean, a foot is not a huge improvement, but it's something. And over several days, if we continue to knock a foot, 2 feet, continue to bring those levels down back into the moderate flooding category, that is going to be huge for those communities.
And when you look at the Myakka River from where it was Friday night, when it was going over Interstate 75 and they had to close the highway, things have gotten a little bit better, and we like to see that.
Yeah, and to put things in perspective for you at home, the Myakka River, the record was 12.5 feet. Friday night, we were surpassing that at 12.72, and we're likely going to at least see this slow trend continue to bring it back to that moderate flooding stage as early as Wednesday of this week. So progress on the way for the Myakka. The same going for the Peace River, 23.5 feet on Saturday, now down to 21.4 feet.
Okay.
Knocked out about 2 feet there from the river height.
That's good.
Still trending in the correct direction. It's going to be towards the middle to end of this week before we see significant improvements. But unfortunately, it's going to take at least a week, if not longer, for many of these rivers, including the Horse Creek, to eventually get well back to that below that minor flooding stage category.
Yeah.
If we could very quickly, I believe we do have the Horse Creek up there. I do want to show you this. Horse Creek, since it's a little bit smaller in size and stature compared to the others, we're going to see those improvements come a little bit earlier.
Okay.
I do believe the Horse Creek will be back into that moderate flooding stage as early as Tuesday. Okay. This is the latest forecast from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They take into account rainfall forecasts as well for the next 48 hours, as well as sheet flow. And because of that, they're still forecasting, despite any rain chances, that we'll be down into that moderate flooding stage category by Tuesday. Just a fantastic sign from the National Weather Service, and folks along Horse Creek will likely see some relief here soon.
Kind of seems like they're all moving in the right direction, and the Imperial at least holding steady right now for like the last 30 hours. Hasn't really seen an increase since then.
It has not, and it's kind of the timing of things. When Ian makes landfall, our immediate impacts are wind, followed immediately by storm surge, and then in the days prior to that, we then keep an eye on our river levels, even when Ian is many miles out into the Atlantic, because even 3, 4, 5 days removed, we're still seeing some river levels rise because all of that water has to go somewhere. And that's why we're seeing some of the river levels rise farther to the south, because it's just now that water from the north up towards Tampa Bay and other spots are just now starting to make it their way farther to the south.
All right. Nash, thank you so much for the update. And again, we appreciate all the work that you and the Weather Department and Matt Devitt have done for the last several days to help keep us informed. And we're going to continue to watch the Imperial River, because that's the one that kind of seems like if there's going to be one that causes problems at this point, that may be the one. But right now, as he pointed out, for about the last 24 to 30 hours, does not appear to have had an increase above where we were 30 hours ago. So that's a good sign.
It
Let's
is.
hope that holds and doesn't get any worse.
Absolutely. We like seeing those waters not rising any further than they already have. Let's quickly bring in Wink News investigative consumer reporter Andrea Shepard for a quick update about some of the things she's been talking about this morning. Not this morning, this afternoon. It is almost 3 p.m. Look at me losing track of time. If you're just joining us, Rachel Coxers and Andrea Shepard, investigative consumer reporter, with me. What's going on, Andriana?
So just not too long ago, we just showed you an interview I did with CFO Jimmy Petronas about our insurance villages. I'm just learning that one of those locations does not exist anymore, and that is the Fort Myers location that was at JetBlue Park. They are still looking for another location to have it in Fort Myers. I'm being told that I will be the first person to know once they figure out the new location. But right now, the only location we've got going on in our area is in Port Charlotte at the Port Charlotte Town Center.
Okay, and this is an area folks can go ask questions and get information.
Yes, so the purpose of the insurance village is to have a bunch of insurance companies in one spot so you can have a face-to-face communication with a claims expert to talk any questions you may have, or even help you file a claim. Just right now, the Fort Myers location no longer exists at the moment, but they're hoping to have one up tomorrow. Just don't know where that will be.
All right, I'm sure Andriana will keep us all in the loop. Thank you so much for your hard work, Andriana. So meanwhile, let's get you some information from around
I can
around
tell you that
Southwest
we're only
Florida.
2 minutes away now from the city of Naples having
Yeah.
a scheduled press conference. We'll see if that happens on time. Hopefully that it will. But whenever it starts, we are going to bring that to you to see what they have to say. Naples, and I've been down there, I was there yesterday. There's some areas where they still have some problems, but a lot of it is starting to get back to normal. I saw a lot of businesses that were opening, and that was good to see as well. So people are getting out and about a little bit. Fifth Ave has several of the restaurants open, and so it's a beautiful part of our country, not to mention our state in Southwest Florida, and it's good to kind of see that revive a little bit.
Absolutely. And they sent out an update about FEMA assistance today. So let's read some of that information that they sent out from the city of Naples about 2:30 today. If you're a survivor of Hurricane Ian, which all of us here listening are, you can go to disasterassistance.com or call 800-621-FEMA. In other words, 3362, 800-621-3362, or use the FEMA app. You can go there to get, some relief money for what you are dealing with. Also, Small Business Administration disaster loans are available to businesses, homeowners, renters, and nonprofits. That is a slightly different address there for that information. Again, if you're a small business, if you're a nonprofit, loansassistance.sba.gov, and that's under disaster customer service at SBA. And if you're somebody with flood insurance, 1.6 million Floridians have flood insurance, you need to report your loss immediately. So definitely get on that. Andriana Shepard has brought us a lot of updates about the best ways to do that. Also, mental health resources are available as well. Obviously, this was a traumatic experience. We went through it ourselves with the flooding at Wink News. We know how tough it can be. So if you're experiencing some struggles mentally right now, you can call or text the Disaster Distress Helpline at 1-800-985-5990. And we're at that 3 o'clock hour now, so I just want to welcome anybody who might be tuning in now to Wink News, streaming over the airwaves on channel 46. What channel are we on?
We're on Wink, right?
We're on Wink.
We're on
okay,
Wink.
yeah.
And then we're
right.
on Wink FM 96.9 as well.
And online streaming as well. So welcome to everybody listening. I'm Rachel Cox-Rosen.
Yeah, and I'm Russ McCaskey. We're glad you're with us. This could be the last hour that we're broadcasting from here. Things are getting up and running at our studios, and Chris and Lois hopefully are going to be joining us from there shortly. Maybe an hour away, maybe a little more, but to get you back into the what you're used to seeing when you turn on Wink News. Meantime, we just got some information in. I'll start on this if the news conference starts. We're waiting on a news conference from Naples, City of Naples. If that happens, we'll join that live. But in the meantime, I do want to tell you that the state troopers have sent out a news release that says in response to Hurricane Ian, the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles have deployed their Florida Licensing on Wheels, which they call FLOW, to Lee County. So these are, can help you if you've lost your driver's license, some of those kinds of things, if some of your valuable paperwork is washed away. So the FLOW is going to be in Lee County at the Hertz Arena, at the shelter there, which is 1100 Everglades Parkway, Estero, Florida. That is where you can go. It's going to be open from 8:30 until 4:30. It's going to be open 7 days a week. So if your wallet or your purse or all that stuff got washed away, they can help you get some of those documents that can help you also move forward. So they can help renew or obtain a driver's license. They can replace a driver's license or ID card, change a name on it or an address, those kinds of things, renew or replace vehicle registration, replace a lost vehicle, title, those kinds of things. So there's a lot of things that they can do there. So check that out. That's going to be at Hertz Arena in Estero, at the shelter there. A lot of things happening there, and that's a good place for it. It's pretty easy to get to.
Absolutely. Also, if you're somebody struggling with service and Wi-Fi right now, Xfinity is stepping in right now to help, to assist Southwest Floridians who are dealing with this lack of service. I know that was something we all dealt with. We're dealing with it as we speak.
Yeah,
here
right now today.
Right here at our little broadcast shack in Collier County. You can go to Veterans Community Park at 1895 Veterans Park Drive. Drive. That is in Naples. The Xfinity Wi-Fi vans in the parking lot there, and it's next to the community center in front of the dog park. So go there for some Wi-Fi access in Lee County.
Yeah, and that's been such a problem for so many people.
Yeah.
They're like, we go to this website, go to this app. Well, they just can't. Well, there are some places now where you can go to that hopefully you can get internet access and those kinds of things and find out more information about things that can help you.
Yeah, so in Lee County, you can go to Hertz Arena, 11,000 Everblades Parkway, Flea Masters as well, and that is in Fort Myers, 4135 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. The van is there in front of the building when you enter that main entrance. Up in Charlotte, the Walmart Supercenter at 19100 Murdoch Circle has Wi-Fi there. The van is in front of the building facing U.S. Highway 41, and this reminds me that FPL is also offering some outage relief sites for people. We did get an update from them this morning that most all of their customers are going to have power back by the end of the day, Friday. But right now, still the beginning of the week. Got a lot of days to go. So here's some of those locations you can go to, provided by FPL. Looks like they don't have a location any longer in Collier County, so the closest for folks there and in Lee County will be the relief site in Fort Myers at 13401 Summerlin Road. That has outage information, so if you aren't able to access information about what areas there are outages, they'll be able to tell you about that. They also have water and ice, Russ. Ice is a big deal right now.
Ice is a big deal. Has been for days, yeah.
Yep, and also Boca Grande looks like City of Naples is starting their meetings. We're going to listen, and we're listening to Mayor Teresa Heitman.
The community update about Hurricane Ian. Today is Monday, October 3rd, 2022, 3 p.m. First of all, I just want to say on behalf of council, we made it through it. Our community has come together. They have cleaned up an enormous amount of damaged homes and their belongings. I just am hoping that our community will remain calm, continue to be kind, and continue to help one another. It's been rewarding and heart-filling to see neighbors who didn't know neighbors and becoming a better, stronger, more informed community. Sometimes we have friends that go up north and they're part-timers, and they're starting to reach out and get to know one another. So keep up the good work, Naples and Collier County. We will be Naples strong. I have heard from our regional cities, and our hearts are broken for their loss. We had severe damage and severe loss, but they had loss of lives, and that's just devastating. So we're focused in on the recovery, and I will happy to say Mr. Bourgeois will give you the details, but the roads are looking better and better. Mr. Bourgeois and I have pre, during, and now post-recovery. We have been throughout all the streets, checking the community and the needs of the community. We do have electric coming on. I'll give you the details. Running water, which is amazing because I've spoken to Fort Myers and they still are without running water. We do have cars that are ruined and boats that are on ground, which is odd to see, and docks in our neighbors' front driveways. But we're a community that will work together. So with that, Mr. Bourgeois.
Thank you for those of you who are here today and those of you who are listening live. As some of you know, we still don't have Comcast cable in certain parts of the community, but cable will eventually be on, and you'll eventually be able to see and hear today's update. We've got in the room with us members of our senior staff, and also up on the dais here is Chief DeMaria fire chief, and also our emergency management director. So the three of us and others have been joined at the hip here now for almost the last full week. I'd also like to recognize councilors Chrisman and Petrinoff, who are here in the audience today, and then other councilors who are either volunteering somewhere in the community or watching from home. It's been a long week, but we got a lot of work ahead of us. What I'd like to do as I give my report, and it's going to be lengthy because there are a lot of questions that we'd like to try to get answered for the community. What I'd like to do is ask David to start a slideshow. So we're going to begin showing some of the photos that we've been able to capture before the storm, during the storm, and post-storm, and some photos of the recovery efforts underway. We've had a lot of requests from residents who aren't here. They have limited access. They can't see what's happening in the ground. It is devastating, but it's important for people to understand what happened here in Naples. Before I jump into the details of my update, I do really need to thank the mayor and the city council and our incredible team of city employees who have been working around the clock before this storm started to make sure we were prepared and to make sure that we were ready to bring Naples back to its former magnificent self. And a very special thank you has to go to the community. The mayor and I have spent a lot of time, as have other members of our staff, in the community, knocking on doors, walking on streets, and it's amazing. Neighbors helping neighbors throughout the community. That's what communities are all about, and it's happening in all corners of this community. And it's great to see. We're going to need more of that in the weeks and months ahead. Tremendous progress has been made in the last 4 days following this record-setting impact of storm surge from a almost Category 5 hurricane right off our coast. The damage assessment of residential and commercial properties has been completed per our FEMA requirements. 5 properties have been labeled as completely destroyed, and approximately 680 properties have major damage. They're not habitable. The estimated value of the observable damage, and I want to underscore observable, is placed at approximately $660 million, but this does not include vehicles, interiors of homes, furniture, etc. We believe the true value of the damage will be in excess of $1.5 billion, possibly higher. The building department is now focused on inspecting structures that may have structural damage, and will be posting unsafe or no occupancy notices on anything that they find that shouldn't be habitable. Like I said, the community is pulling together, and we're going to get through this. Let me start with some specific areas that people are interested in. Utilities. Utilities in terms of FP&L power, water, sewer, cable, and cellular service. As of 2 p.m. today, we have about 85% of power back in the city of Naples. And we've been advised by FP&L executives that we will be at 100% by the end of the day Wednesday. We were very concerned that it was going to be weeks and weeks in certain parts of this community. So that is great news for the city of Naples. And we want to sincerely thank our partners at FP&L for their valiant efforts in getting the lights back on. Comcast is also beginning to slowly turn back on, and that is happening steadily. Comcast is functional in many parts of the city. We don't have it yet in the City Hall area. We do not have an estimate from Comcast at this point when we will be back to 100%. We've been working with Verizon very closely to ensure capacity and coverage continues to improve. and we're working on establishing a small mobile tower in this downtown City Hall area. But we have been advised that towers are coming back online, not only with Verizon, but also with T-Mobile and AT&T. Regarding our water treatment plant, it is fully operational and back on FP&L power. The facility sustained minimal damage during the storm. The city's 2 well fields at Golden Gate and Coastal Ridge are also operational. Flows are averaging about 15 million gallons per day. The emergency interconnections that we established during immediately after the storm with the county were closed this past weekend as we no longer need supplemental water. Water sampling of our drinking water system has begun today and will continue tomorrow. 1 sample is needed from 80 sampling stations. This is a requirement before we lift the boil water precautionary notice. Our goal is to lift this notice on Wednesday, October 5th, 2 days from today, and we will notify the public once that notice is rescinded. Crews are still addressing minor water leaks, primarily on the customer side, due to plumbing damage that occurred within the homes. No major water main breaks have been reported to date, which seems to indicate that the city's network of distribution pipes did not sustain the level of damage seen in prior storms. We kind of knew this early because from the plant we were experiencing pretty decent pressure throughout this situation, but in an abundance of caution, we wanted to do this boil water precautionary alert. The wastewater treatment plant is fully operational and is also on FP&L power. Flows are averaging about 4 to 5 million gallons per day. The treatment staff is currently inspecting the plant and facilities and buildings and assessing damages. FP&L power has been restored to approximately 80% of our lift stations. That's about 100 out of 125. However, many of these stations were flooded. Most of them were west of 41 and were fully submerged during the storm, which has led to extensive electrical situations. We have parts on order, and although we have the power that's there, we need to use bypass pumps, or we're manually pumping some of these lift stations to make sure that the sewage is properly sent to our treatment plant. Crews will continue to go through this process until we get these lift stations back online and automated. There are 13 portable bypass pumps that are out in the community right now, which is really helping us out. Otherwise, our crews are moving from station to station to station 24/7, pumping these sewage lift stations. We are receiving assistance for additional equipment and crews through Florida WARN, which is the mutual aid from other utility agencies. We have agencies here from Palm Beach County, City of Lake Worth, City of Pompano Beach, and City of Hallandale Beach. These are our partners on the other side of the coast that came to help us, and we are very appreciative of them being here. Regarding our roads and storm drains, contractors continue to clear roads of sand and other debris. The south end of Gordon Drive has the largest accumulation of sand. The road is open as of yesterday. The police department has a checkpoint on Gordon Drive to limit traffic to property owners and contractors to these properties. We have a lot of sightseers that want to come to Naples. They want to come see the pier. They want to come see Port Royal, and they were causing problems, but we fixed that early on. Street sweeping will begin on Gulf Shore Boulevard North in front of the condos. Staff and contractors continue to clear the stormwater system. A majority of the drains and inlet have been cleared along Gulf Shore Boulevard, working our way inland now along 2nd Street. This is evidenced by the fact that the standing water is gone. The water was not moving because not only did we have debris on the road clogging the drains were clogged themselves. So we had an army of vac trucks along with our street crews getting these roads open. We'll begin assessing alleys today to determine that level of cleanup. So we're working into the non-arterial roadways. Out of of the 41 traffic signals, we have 2 are still dark. We're using stop signs to ensure safe traffic patterns. Banyan and Golden GSB and Gulf Shore Boulevard North. See, I'm only 5 months here, and I'm still figuring out these streets. Gulf Shore Boulevard North, and then Park Shore and Gulf Shore Boulevard North. All other intersections are fully operational and flashing red. And we just want to remind the community, please, when you get to these intersections, these flashing intersections, treat them as a 4-way stop. Obviously, we have temporary stop signs out. You should treat those as a 4-way stop, too. Debris removal. Let's talk about that for a minute. The city's been coordinating very closely with the county as a part of our interlocal agreement for debris removal operations. Staff and I had a meeting this morning with the debris contractor and monitoring company to talk about the game plan. As a part of our soft start, you may have noticed some debris removal trucks in the city today. There were some areas that were really hard hit, and quite frankly, the piles were increasing to the point where they were starting to become unsafe, and we needed to reduce these piles. So they took a couple of passes today, and we'll do so again tomorrow before we officially start on Wednesday, October 5th, with a full-scale operation here within the city. This is going to be a monumental task. It will likely take several months because of all of the C&D, all of the construction debris that's going to come out of homes. We're talking about carpets, baseboards, flooring, couches, furniture. There's a lot of material. We've done some preliminary estimating, and to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, imagine a football stadium filled with debris 40 feet high all the way up to the mezzanine level. That's what we're talking about here. And that doesn't even include the horticulture debris, all the vegetative debris that are on the street, and it doesn't include appliances or white goods. So we really want the community to understand the enormous task that's ahead of us. We will continue to do passes throughout the community as long as it takes. There'll be a first pass. You don't have to rush to get everything out to the street right away. We're coming back, and then we're going to come back again, and we're going to come back again, and we're going to come back again until it's all gone. So we want to make sure that people are safe and they don't feel like they have to rush to get it out on the street right away. Let us remove what's there, and we'll be back again for a second load and third load and so on. Residents and businesses, we really need you to pay very close attention to the debris that you are putting out on the street. Make sure they're separated. We need horticulture debris separated from your C&D debris and separated from your white goods debris. We can't lump this stuff together. The EPA should be in town by now. If not, they will be soon, driving through our streets, looking at our piles for hazardous things like propane tanks and other types of liquids. You are not supposed to put that out in the streets. You keep that on your property, and there'll be another way to dispose of that later. EPA is doing that because that happens. Stuff gets buried in debris, and they need to come and secure these sites. Let's talk a little bit about FEMA. The mayor, I think she mentioned, if not, I'll mention it. The mayor and chief and I just finished having a meeting with our local rep for FEMA. FEMA is on the ground. They have a disaster assistance team, or 2 teams, that are moving through the county. We're working very hard to try to identify a location here within the city for FEMA representatives to work with our community to discuss long-term housing, utility assistance, payments for rent, so on and so forth. We have on our website, and I know a lot of people don't have access to the internet, so those of you who are listening or in the audience who can assist people who don't have access to the internet, you need to get on the internet. disasterassistance.gov or call 800-621-FEMA. That's the first step that needs to be taken. disasterassistance.gov 800-621-FEMA. Residents need to reach out, get registered, get a number, and this will start the process to provide the services that our residents and businesses will need here in the short term. There is a business-specific phone number for small businesses. It's 800-659-2955. That's 800-659-2955. Or you can email disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. A lot of people carry flood insurance. You need to make sure you ask your insurance agent or carrier about cash advance payments. That's something that can be done. Go ahead and get in touch with your insurance agent or your insurance company if you haven't done that yet. This has been a very traumatizing event for a lot of people. Very emotional. We need to take care of our mental health. I think I've said that a couple times. We meaning not only the residents that have been affected, but the employees, all of us. We need to be supporting each other. There are services available to survivors of this disaster. You can call. There's someone there 24 hours a day willing to talk to you, willing to help. It's 800-985-5990. It's a 24/7 hotline that you can call to deal with issues that are causing you emotional distress. Residents who did not evacuate but now need to leave their home should visit floridadisaster.org/shelter-status for information about housing, short-term housing. The FEMA information that I provided earlier will provide information about longer-term housing up to 18 months. I'm sorry, we're not taking questions at this time. The FEMA is up to 18 months. Florida Disaster is short-term. And that, again, let me just repeat it. The website is floridadisaster.org/shelter-status. Let's move on to facilities here within the city that are closed. As you all know by now, as reported nationally, our iconic fishing pier has suffered significant damage during the storm and is structurally compromised. It has to be closed. It has to remain closed until further notice because it is dangerous to be on that pier. So it's blocked off, but we're asking people to do not try to find a way to get on that pier. It's extremely dangerous. Our tennis center across the street here from City Hall in Cambier Park is still closed. We have 5 feet of water in Cambier Park. And the courts have suffered significant damage. Our beach ends are still closed. We have a lot of dangerous conditions that we're trying to address. Some of the asphalt on the road has been compromised by the wave action. So we need to make sure vehicles aren't entering beach ends that have been barricaded. It is unsafe. There are sinkholes that have been created by the undermining of the sand and the wave action. Loudermilk Park is closed until further notice. This park suffered significant damage. The decking areas, the concessions building. The county had a meeting with our team this morning to assess this area, assess our beaches. Our beaches are going to remain closed for a while for crews to come in and begin cleaning up. There's a lot of hazardous objects that are submerged below the sand, sharp objects that can cut your feet and cause a lot of injury. So we're asking residents to be careful. Try to avoid the beach. Let the cleanup crews do their job. Let's make the beach safe again. Parks and Parkway crews are out and about. We're starting to make our medians beautiful again. We're picking up the debris on a daily basis. We do need people to be able to get outside, though, and recreate and have a little fun. So we do have some facilities that are open. River Park Community Center is open. The basketball courts are open. The Aquatic Center is still closed. That's going to be closed for a little while. Fleischman Park has reopened today. The building is not open, but you can go to the park, throw a frisbee, have a picnic, have a little fun. Baker Park is open. Go walk the trails. Go enjoy some sunshine, fresh air. Cambier Park is open, except for the tennis center. Come on out. The playground is open. Try to get some fresh air. All right, let's move on and talk a little bit about safety and security. I'm gonna take a breather here and let the chief talk a little bit about fire rescue operations and some of the agencies that are here in town that you may have noticed some of the different fire engines.
Thank you. Let me also start with some thanks to the mayor and city manager for their leadership and their support through this emergency. They've been guiding us and giving us the support that we need to continue to move our operation forward. Thank all the directors and all the employees that are dedicating their time right now to working so hard. So I want to say, echo the mayor and the city manager on those thanks. Fire rescue with city members have been staffing and operating the Naples Emergency Operations Center. We're in coordination with Collier County Emergency Operations Center, and we're constantly in communication with them regarding needs of the city, and the county is reacting, and we're working hand in glove with them. We also, as the city manager said, in coordination with FEMA, and we're working really hard to get FEMA on the ground here in the city so we can continue to get some assistance from the federal agency and see what we can do to help our community out. We're also coordinating messages with the city PIO and Fire Rescue's PIO to get messaging out to the community through our website and through social media. As far as fire rescue, we've completed search and rescue efforts throughout the city. We've had assistance in here from Greater Naples Fire Rescue and a FEMA search and rescue team that completed hasty search and rescues, and then completed more significant search and rescues in the harder hit areas. We currently have a strike team of engines in our stations from Miami-Dade and Miami Beach. They're working with our fire rescue teams. We've been fighting multiple fires due to power coming on, and medical emergencies that are throughout the entire community. We continue to assist in clearing and accessing streets and other areas that need access with our fire rescue crews. They're using chainsaws to get into some areas, but we are coming to the end of that operation as we've gotten most of the streets completely cleared, and access to any issues have been cleared, and we are making those corrections. We are also supporting FP&L when they've asked for our assistance. Just wanted to kind of wrap up with continued safety message about generator safety. Anybody that's left on generators, make sure that we continue to operate the generator in a safe way, keep it outside the home. Do not put it in your garage. Make sure that there's plenty of room so we don't get those fumes into the home and cause further damage when we're at a point where we're starting to recover. Also make a quick note about electrical vehicles. If you have electric vehicles, we've noticed there's been multiple fires with electric vehicles as the power comes back on and they're plugged into charging stations. If you have an electric vehicle, we advise you to unplug the vehicle and don't have a charge with the power out. So it's gonna be an issue as the power does return. I'd also like to add that we've been, through the EOC, providing water and other goods to the community as needed, and we continue that operation as long as we'll need to. Thank you, Mr. Bourgeois. We'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Chief. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in terms of patrolling, police patrol. Chief Weschler's here. Tonight, the mayor just signed an order. We are going to implement, the county is going to continue implementing each night a midnight to 6 a.m. countywide curfew, which includes the city of Naples. In the city, we are issuing a secondary curfew beginning at 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. in residential areas. We have a lot of areas that are still dark, and we want to make sure we're protecting homes, especially homes that may not have owners occupying them. So our police patrols are going to be highly visible and in these areas, and we'll be stopping anyone who does not live in these neighborhoods and reminding them of the curfew that's in effect. This curfew, obviously, we're going to let residents get back to and from their homes, but we want to try and provide this little extra level of security in the evenings. Our Marine Patrol Unit has been out in our waterways checking for navigational hazards. We do have some situations with cars and sunken vessels in canalways and in the Bay Area. This is something that we are going to be looking into with DEP and also our debris contractor for long-term removal of these vessels. The police department is also busy escorting our crews and has been working very closely in the River Park, Anthony Park area with food and water distribution, and has been conducting numerous welfare checks. As you can imagine, there's a lot of people who were here that relatives could not get a hold of during the storm with the bad cell service. So we wanted to make sure we provided an opportunity for people to call into our hotline. We received numerous calls for welfare checks, and our police department continues to do that. The last thing that the police department wanted to pass along is a reminder to limit your driving through the damaged areas. This isn't a sightseeing exercise. With these videos, we're providing it for those who are curious to see what the damage looked like. You can watch this on replay. But we're trying to caution you from driving around these areas. Again, we're getting the large debris first, then we're going to get the medium debris, and then the fine debris, and then we're going to street sweep, and then we're going to do it again. It's going to take time to get everything off the streets. There are nails. If you want a flat tire, go ahead. But I'm warning you that you need to stay out of these areas because you will cause damage to your car in addition to being in the ways of our crews. Moving on to city services, we reopened City Hall today, so all of our offices, our normal city services are back in effect, and that will continue as the recovery continues. As I mentioned earlier, it's going to be weeks and months of doing this recovery, but our city offices are back open, phones are ringing, offices are available. The regular collection for our solid waste debris started today on your normal schedule, with the exception for horticulture debris. That's going to be part of the larger cleanup effort. We really need some help from our residents. We need you to separate your garbage from the storm debris. The normal garbage stuff needs to go out. The stuff that's in your refrigerator, I hope you haven't opened your refrigerator yet. When you do, it's going to be bad. Let's get that stuff into the garbage so we can get all of that out of your homes and picked up this week. As far as code enforcement and permits are concerned, there is information on our website regarding how to get permits, expedited permits for damages, getting repairs. We want to move as fast as we can to help everyone get fully restored. Our online permit submission is open. We're reviewing, we're processing, we're moving everything forward. The building department's web page has information about how to deal with the permitting for damaged structures. So we're really trying to drive everyone to our website. Normal building permit inspections are suspended until further notice. We've also relaxed some of our codes, specifically gas blowers, things like that. We want everyone to be able to have kind of all hands on deck to get this community restored, working on Saturdays, working on Sundays. We want to try to get everything secured. We do want to emphasize to the community to be careful with scammers. People prey upon the vulnerable during times of crisis. and we're no exception here. We've already had run-ins with folks trying to get business here in the city with residents who are not licensed, who are not insured, they're not bonded. Make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure you do not get scammed. If in doubt, call us. We'll help you. But we want to really make sure that we draw your attention to that. Public meetings. The city council meeting that was scheduled this morning, if you were here, the room was empty. It was canceled. Tomorrow's Code of Ethics meeting is canceled as well. We will have a city council meeting this Thursday, October 6th. We have a short agenda, and at that time, we'll also provide another community update, similar, but probably not as lengthy as today. A couple of closing thoughts for me, and then I'm going to turn it over to the mayor to close this up, and then we're going to be available afterward for any specific questions that anyone has. Volunteers and donations. We're receiving a lot of calls, as you would expect, from people in the community and outside of the community who want to help. Anyone who wants to donate something, supplies, goods, Chief, what's the number they should call?
239-213-4900.
Okay, so repeat that one more time for donations.
For donations, 239-213-4900. I'm going to say it one more time. 239-213-4900.
Donations of things are very helpful, but they can become very chaotic if not properly organized for distribution and sorting. So having a central point is important. There are some things that we may not need. And then there's folks that who want to donate funds as well. Can call that number. As far as volunteers, we need hands, we need feet, we need eyes, and we need ears, and we need people in the community to start stepping up. Again, help neighbors helping neighbors. The mayor and council's assistant, Radora Moore, is doing our volunteer coordination. If you want to volunteer, call Radora, 239-213-1000, or you can email her at rmoore, M-O-O-R-E, at naplesgov.com. That's all I have. Mayor?
Okay, so you've just been listening to a news conference from the city of Naples, and really the big headline that came out is the first damage estimate that we heard, and that was that there's roughly $660 million in damage right now. Does not include cars, interiors, and a lot of those kinds of things.
Yeah, they expect go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, they expect the damage to be around $1.5 billion. That's just for the city of Naples. So a huge number, and that's the first one that we've heard so far.
Yeah, and that's from observable damage. So what that means is literally people driving around, taking a look at that damage. And of course, as Russ said, they expect that number to go up. They said a lot of work ahead to do. They also talked about the service and power. 85% is power is back in the city. 100% is expected by the end of the day Wednesday. And FPL also said that 100% of power will be back for all of Collier County by the end of the day Wednesday. Of course, most of their customers at that point. They're also going to be sampling the drinking water. They're hoping to lift their boil water notice by Wednesday. They have not seen any major water main breaks right now, so they just have to take those samples, make sure that's safe for you all to drink.
Yeah, but that'd be great news if they're able to have drinking water by Wednesday. And it said that they didn't take any major hits on that, so that's good. The wastewater treatment plant, 80% of the lift stations are working, but they did have some flooding and electrical problems, and they have some portable bypass pumps that they're working with to try to make sure that that all goes according to plan. So again, a lot of work has been done on the wastewater treatment plant, but 80% of the lift stations are in good shape.
Yep, absolutely. And they have their curfew starting at 10 p.m. within the city of Naples, and that's as opposed to the rest of the county, which is 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. So starting a little bit earlier for the city, those residential areas. areas there. They talked about most intersections being operational at this point. Of course, another reminder, if it's out, four-way stop. If there's that flashing green, go ahead. You are fine with that. But long road to recovery, but it sounds like everybody's feeling grateful today within the city.
Yeah, Gordon Drive, they said, had the most sand. Only property owners and contractors right there. They know that a lot of people want to come down and look, and they just want to keep that keep that from happening. They also have closed the beaches. The beaches in Naples are closed. The Naples Pier is closed off right now as well. But one of the reasons the pier the beaches are closed is because they say there's sharp things underneath the sand, and they need to clear all that to make sure that the beaches are good before you can go out there. So don't go rushing out to the beach thinking, let's just have a relaxing day because we've been dealing with a lot of stress. That's something they don't want you to do right now.
Yeah, they also said it's not a tourist site, these damaged sites. This is not something that you want to go look at. They provided some great video. If you go to their Facebook, you can watch it throughout that press conference if you can get a chance to see. I know many people are just listening, don't have that capability, but don't drive out there to those sites right now. It's not a good time for that. And I think we've hit the main points of that press conference.
One other thing, though,
sure.
and this applies really, I think, up and down the coast, and that is they say that they found cars and sunken vessels in the waterways. So if you want to take your boat out, you got to be extremely careful because you're going to hit something possible. You may, come across a car that has sunk that you're not expecting. You think, oh, this is a navigable waterway. This is something I've done a lot. So they are advising people to not do that, to limit driving and to limit getting out on the boats right now for the time being until some of these things. They're contracting with people to pull some of these sunken boats out and the cars as well. But that's one of the things. Doesn't matter whether you're there, whether you're in Lee County, whether you're in Charlotte County. That's just good advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think now we're going to bring in meteorologist Nash Rhodes for an update on our weather conditions here in Southwest Florida. I see the whiteboard is with us, the famous whiteboard. So that means we're going to be getting a drawn 7-day forecast.
7 days on the way. Can't forget that. First off, I have positive news for a change here. The National Hurricane Center now putting out their latest update. And as you can see behind me, that disturbance there now that will be entering into the Caribbean bumped down to now a low 30% chance of formation within the next 5 days. We had seen that one slowly rising to a medium chance of formation. I can't reiterate enough, though. This is most likely than not going to it will more likely than not head into Central America rather than making any attempt to push into the Gulf of Mexico. Regardless, it doesn't even look super likely that this will form. Many of our models are now even destroying this before it would even organize into a named system. So fantastic news there to start things off. I want to quickly go through our flood warnings again very quickly. Mayaca River, Peace River, and Horse Creek, still flood warnings in effect there. We're seeing some stunning imagery and videos out of there. At the moment, we've seen water levels decreasing in all three of those spots. The Mayaca River's water level has dropped nearly a foot since Saturday. Peace River nearly 2 feet, and Horse Creek down 2 feet, as Horse Creek will likely see the fastest improvements out of all of the rivers, as by Wednesday we could even see Horse Creek down into the moderate, potentially even lower into the minor flood stages. So fantastic news there. Imperial River in Lee County, if we could pull up that graphic here very quickly. This is the only one that we had actually seen rising this weekend. All that runoff water is, got to converge into somewhere, and all of those rivers upstream from the heavy rain showers we had on the north side of Ian, all the rivers have to run off to somewhere, and that's why we're seeing areas into Lee, Collier County, and other counties now starting to see those water levels rise in your rivers. Here's the good news. It looks like we've seen things plateau here. As we look at the latest data coming in from the Imperial River, right at 12.32 feet is where it's been for roughly 24 hours now, which could be a crest, and we could likely see improvements on the backside of this. I also want to reiterate that with the Imperial River, we are not in that major flood stage of 14 feet. We are currently down at 12.32 feet, which is just an indicator that our rivers to the north are going to take a lot longer to actually recover, and even at that, recovery for them is just getting back down into the moderate flood stage. That's where we're at right now with the Imperial River. Thankfully, things will likely get better in the near forecast as we are forecasting more dry conditions for the next 2 days. I'm going to pull up the 7-day now to get you up to speed with that. Thank you so much, Rachel. So, as you can see here, the next 3 days, things are looking good. Mostly sunny conditions Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, we start to see a few stray showers dot the forecast. I do think most of us will stay dry Wednesday and Thursday, but still, a few of us could get a shower or very weak thunderstorm for about 30 minutes to an hour max. Those will be in the area Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, we drop those rain chances yet again and have a brief dry period leading into the weekend. It's Saturday into Sunday that I want to point out. Those stray showers and isolated thunderstorms will be in the area. Some of those could be a little bit stronger than what we see throughout this week as we get closer to getting back towards our rainy season pattern. We still have about 2 weeks left in our rainy season, which officially ends on the 15th. That's the official date that we set for it. Sometimes we see it later. Sometimes we see it a little bit or end a little bit earlier. So for the time being, the next several days, high temperatures will remain very similar. We're going to see the humidity start to rise just a bit. It is still going to feel like the 90s outside, despite the 80s you see here on the 7-day forecast. Only other things I want to point out, tonight into tomorrow morning and Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, still rather cool conditions for this time of year, 66 degrees for the lows, but notice the slight increase leading into this weekend. Our weather's not going to be favorable the farther out we get in this forecast. So for the next 2 to 3 days, highly recommend that you get any outdoor preparations, fixes, things that you're attempting to get done, volunteering done before things get a little bit worse by next week.
All right, Nash, thank you. I like the look of that forecast. I don't see 90s on there, so that's pretty much all we can ask for. Thank you so much. And I want to talk about some distribution sites that are opened by nonprofits, churches. Tomorrow, Cypress Lake United Methodist Church is going to be having a giveaway on the corner of Winkler and Cypress Lake Drive. They're going to provide water and supply kits to families with damage and flooding, anyone who needs anything. Again, that's 10 a.m. tomorrow. And also, there's going to be relief kitchens available for Southwest Florida residents who are struggling right now at McGregor Baptist Church. That's tomorrow at again 3750 Colonial Boulevard. That's on McGregor Baptist Church tomorrow. Looking for an actual time that this is starting on this release. Looks like they haven't given a time yet, but we'll bring that to you when we can. We also want to update you on the movements of a couple of our reporters, anchors out in the field. Anchor Taylor Petras and anchor Nicole Gabe are getting ready to go to Pine Island. So we're taking a look at a boat there that they have. We have some audio from something else playing right now, but you're going to hear the sounds of the water. If you're listening to us, we're seeing the waterways as Taylor Petras and Nicole Gabe, our anchors, head to Pine Island.
You can see some of the damage and destruction there. And you're also going to see that they've already begun work. We knew that they're going to start at 7 o'clock this morning building that gravel bridge, and that's probably some of the trucks right there. And those are, they could be debris removal trucks as well. But we know they're going to be bringing in tons and tons of gravel to create that bridge to be able to get to Pine Island. Just look at some of the damage and destruction there.
Yeah,
we're that wood piled up. I guess that's the end of that is looped.
Yeah, we saw piles of wood in the water, it looked like, or very close to it. Also downed trees in the water as well. But looking forward to seeing that update from our Wink News anchors. That's obviously an area we have not been able to access yet.
Well, David Dorsey was there a day or so ago, and he told us that he met with some of those people and said that they just did not want to leave, that they were worried about looting and those kinds of things. And so it's going to be good to see an update today on how those folks are doing. But they're hardy people on Pine Island, that is for sure. And many of them do not want to evacuate.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll get that road, then they can go back and forth, get the supplies they need so that they can be okay.
Absolutely. Also, Matt Devitt, chief meteorologist for Wink News, posted some photos of devastation up north in DeSoto County. So this is an incredible photo of some of the flooding up there on State Road 70 and 72 just west of Arcadia. And you see the top of buildings
disappear.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that, Russ. That is a road right in the middle there. It's like a very dark yellow color. You see the water covering it. You see the water almost reaching power lines there. In some cases, actually reaching the power lines, it looks like. And the top of some sort of structure there. It looks like a large building. I see what is the end of a semi sticking out from under the water there.
And these may be more cars up here. I'm not sure if those have been washed off the road, but yeah, definitely very significant flooding there. So yeah, that's on Matt Devitt's Facebook page, State Road 70 and 72 West in Arcadia and DeSoto County, still dealing with the emergency right now.
Yeah.
And Ian continues to give gifts.
And I think Matt has more photos if we want to scroll through some of them. I believe he had posted more. Maybe not. Excuse me. Yeah, it looks like a ton after this one. Wow.
The horses, oh, you feel for them. They got to be just nervous.
Yeah, so for people listening over radio, we're seeing horses with water past their legs. We cannot see their legs right now.
Up the mid-body.
Yeah, and they're standing next to a home, which also is significantly flooded. I mean, imagine where it comes up on a horse. That's where it came up on their house as well. We see the tops of their plants sticking out.
It's unbelievable.
Some goats.
Being rescued, getting the livestock out of there.
Yeah, they're on a boat there. Oh, wow. A before and after photo of Arcadia Peace River Campground, a structure that had a beautiful deck sort of there with some string lights hanging. Now the water is up to those string lights.
Yeah, it's been A-frame. Oh, look at that part of the road washed out.
Oh, my goodness. For a second there, I thought it was just water on there, but it's actually broken there.
Yeah.
So that's in DeSoto County. A piece of the road almost looks like really rough bites were taken out of it by a huge shark or something. That's kind of the visual that we're seeing.
More flooding. People with their cars. It's up to the window of the car. Looks like a truck back there that has also been washed off the road. Looks like it's kind of on sideways. You see a person on top of a vehicle, probably just hoping that someone can come and rescue them.
Yeah, a woman standing up there on the top of her car.
Such a scary situation.
Yeah, another one just showing how significant that flooding is in DeSoto. And there's a person standing on something in the middle of the water there. It's hard to tell what.
All right, so that's 661 North in DeSoto County. And the flooding, you can just tell that the sheet flow is way over its banks.
Another incredible photo showing a semi-truck halfway underwater, a couple semi-trucks, and then something unidentifiable rushed in the middle there underwater.
Can't even tell what that is. The pickup truck, it's above the door. It's to the window. You can't see the bed of the truck at all.
Now, again, this is in DeSoto County. Wow, this is a striking photo. I wish I knew which road this is, but it's a road that kind of goes up and then down. I mean, it was a bridge, it looks like, and now the water has absolutely overwhelmed parts of that roadway, completely gone. You would not be able to drive over this road, I'll tell you that.
Wow. Significant flooding. Still dealing with the emergency. These looks like DeSoto County Sheriff deputies trying to deliver water to people in need, doing so by boat, coming up on probably a pickup truck in front of them that is almost up to the top.
Yeah. Now it looks like more people out, getting around by boat. It's the only way around in DeSoto County right now.
Got the bass boat out.
Yeah.
And these were some rescues that took place the other day. There were 5 disabled people who were rescued. There was one that was taken by a tractor, and that's one of them as they're trying to walk them out of rising water, and they were able to do so. That looks like a campground.
Water, again, coming up. Oh, another horse walking through the floodwaters. This going almost all the way up above their legs, but you can still see just the tops of their legs. A couple people trying to guide that horse through the floodwaters. I'm sure it was not happy.
Yeah, you know they're just nervous about what's going on.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand what's going on. Again, the road, a lot of flooding. That's a Sarasota police boat or car. It looks like that's going through the water.
Yeah.
It must be a pickup truck.
And Matt Devitt's caption says this is in Northport. You can see that yellow line indicating there's a road under all that water. A couple people embracing as they look like they might be being rescued.
Probably so, yeah.
Yeah, through the floodwater. Car up to the middle of a pickup truck there, and a home
and
underwater.
Several feet of water at the home.
Yeah.
You just hate to see all this damage and destruction.
I know.
That looks like a new structure.
It does.
And it's under, I don't know, another 3-4 feet of water, perhaps. Second floor looks good. The roof looks good because it probably was a new structure, but the bottom floor 100% is underwater for about 4 feet.
Another home. Wow. This time the water, what do you estimate, Russ? A foot, 2 away from the roof?
Yeah, it's real close to the roof.
Yeah.
And that is a nice big home.
Yeah.
Again, that's in Northport.
Ugh. Pickup truck tilted halfway underwater completely really underwater on one side, the other side exposed, but it looks like it could float away at any moment, that car. Mailbox is water halfway up the mailbox there. And we're still looking at Northport photos, by the way, right now.
Several airboats coming to rescue people. Airboats are very effective in this kind of thing when there's some low level, where you don't want to put a motor in that might get damaged. An airboat's a great way to get around. They're loud, but they are very effective.
Oh, another horse rescued, this time not engulfed in water, on a boat with a couple of rescuers. Looks like a pony, actually. Yeah,
it looks like a pony. That might be, what's that in the back? Is that
is it a cow? Mm-hmm. No, it's a dog.
Yeah,
that's a dog. Okay. All right. Well,
we zoom in, we can see it a little
yes.
bit.
So, we got a dog rescued.
Pets, dogs, goats. A lot of rescues taking place in Northport.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Navigate all that, and you can see the water starting to come over the hood of a pickup truck. It's about halfway up the wheel on a Jeep.
Yeah, we saw, it looked like they were actually trying to drive through that water. And we do have something to announce right now. Governor Ron DeSantis is going to be holding a press conference in Cape Coral today at 5:45. We will, of course, be bringing you that later on today. Florida Department of Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie will be there, and also Department of Employment Opportunity Secretary Dan Eagle will be there today as well. It's going to be at the historic Cape Coral Pier at 5819 Driftwood Parkway. So we'll bring you the latest from what the governor has to say today.
We're bringing our consumer reporter, Wayne News consumer reporter, Andriana Shepard, for a real quick update. She has some information for us.
So a little while ago, I updated you guys on the insurance village there, talking about how the Fort Myers location at JetBlue Park no longer existed. That is still true, but a new location in Fort Myers will be open tomorrow. That is at the Lee County Player Development Complex, according to Google Maps. The address is 4301 Edison Avenue in Fort Myers, and the zip code is 33916. The insurance village in Port Charlotte is open right now. That's at the Port Charlotte Town Center. 1441 Tamiami Trail, Port Charlotte. One more time, 1441 Tamiami Trail in Port Charlotte. This is where you can get that face-to-face contact I've been talking about with claim experts, so that if you do need help filing a claim or have any questions with any of your insurance companies, a lot of them will be there. You'll be able to ask them right then and there.
Great. Yeah, that's super helpful, and it's going to be helpful to people moving forward, because there's going to be so many insurance claims as a result of this.
Yeah, it's a great update. I know that I would have no idea where to start, and I would have a lot of questions myself, so I'm sure a lot of people are in the same boat right now. So as we said, the governor will be speaking at 5:45, and we also want to...
And a big announcement that we have coming up is we're getting ready to turn the power on at our station and start broadcasting from there. So pretty soon you're going to see Lois and Chris, and you're going to see them on the set that you're used to seeing. So hopefully that's going to be happening pretty soon as well. That's really, as we understand it, any minute now. But again, they have to bring up the power slowly, so we'll see when that takes place. Until then, we're going to be here, as you said, from the broadcast shack, kind of walking you through it. While we wait for that to happen, a couple of updates. We have food safety prevention on foodborne diseases. This is important. You don't want to get sick from eating things that have gone bad. People should not eat any food that may have come in contact with contaminated water from the floods or tidal surges. Commercially prepared cans of food should not be eaten if there is bulging or an opening of any way in the cans, the screw caps, any of those kinds of things. Soda top bottles, as well as the twist-off caps. Undamaged, commercially canned food can be served if labels are removed and cans are disinfected with a bleach solution. Use 1/4 cup of bleach, 1 gallon of water to relabel the cans, including the expiration date and some that kind of pertinent information that can help you. Infants should preferably be breastfed or only pre-mixed canned baby formula. Do not use powdered formulas. They suggest that you do not want to do that with untreated water. Use boiled water instead. When the power is out, refrigerators will keep food cool for approximately 4 hours. Thawed and refrigerated foods should be thrown out after that. The old saying is, when in doubt, throw it out. And certainly most people have been without power for 4 hours, so it's probably going to be everything in the refrigerator and freezer. You're going to need to throw it out.
Yeah. An update from Florida Gulf Coast University, FGCU. Like most schools have not been in session right now. They say they've been through this historic natural disaster, and they intend to begin classes